Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Great to have you with us. Today we're zeroing in on something pretty significant. The tension between Israel and Iran keeps climbing, sure, but what's really caught our eye is how the UK is reacting. We're seeing a definite shift. I mean, Prime Minister Keir Starmer called his first Cobra meeting. That's big. And then you have the UK Attorney General stepping out very publicly, raising questions about Israel's military actions. That's, well, quite something. These aren't small moves. They feel like they could have real global ripples. And to help us make sense of it all, we've got our expert here again. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. Yes, it's definitely a moment worth dissecting. Things are moving fast.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. We hear escalation, but what does that actually look like on the ground right now, based on what you've seen?
Well, it's really changed in character. For ages, it was more of a shadow war, proxies like Hezbollah, cyber stuff, occasional missile strikes, often denied or indirect.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, we've seen Israeli strikes on what they suspect are Iranian Quds Force facilities. That's Iran's external operations group. And then Iran hit back directly with drones.
Right.
So it's much more out in the open now, less deniable. That's the major shift.
Right, much more direct. And the UK, it feels like they've gone from just watching to getting actively involved. Why now? What's changed for British interests specifically?
Yeah, it's not abstract anymore for London. Three things really stand out from the sources.
Mm-hmm.
First, the rising civilian casualties. That always puts pressure on governments internationally. Second, big worries about global shipping. Think about the Strait of Hormuz, vital for trade, energy. Disruptions there hit the UK economy directly. And third, there's specific intelligence pointing to, well, potential Iranian-linked cyber threats against UK infrastructure. So it's become a domestic security issue, too, not just foreign policy.
Okay, that makes sense. But the Attorney General, Victoria Prentice, her public statement felt like a real departure. What exactly did she say, and why is it such a big deal for the UK to do that?
It was pretty direct. She basically said, recent Israeli actions raise serious legal questions under international humanitarian law. Specifically, she flagged proportionality, meaning, is the force used excessive? And distinction, are they doing enough to avoid hitting civilians? And why is it a big deal? Because, frankly, the UK government, especially its law officers, usually keeps these kinds of legal critiques very private when it involves allies. Making it public like this, it signals serious concern, probably within top legal and diplomatic circles. It's like sounding a very loud alarm bell.
So there's a risk of upsetting Israel, maybe the US too, but could this actually help the UK elsewhere, and what are the concrete legal stakes here?
That's the tightrope, isn't it? Yes, it could strain those traditional alliances, but on the flip side, it definitely boosts the UK's standing, with countries focused on international law and civilian protection. Makes them look principled. The really tangible risk, though, it's arms exports. The UK is legally obliged to review arms sales if there's a risk they're being used to break international law. If they find UK parts are involved in actions deemed unlawful, well, they could be forced to suspend arms sales to Israel. That would be huge geopolitically.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, Keir Starmer's Cobra meeting, his first one. Was that mostly about looking decisive, about optics, or was there more to it?
Optics are always part of politics, of course, projecting calm leadership. But the intel driving this seems pretty solid. The sources point to genuine specific concerns, things like those potential cyber attacks we mentioned hitting UK systems, and real nervousness from shipping insurers about the Strait of Hormuz that has knock-on effects for energy prices for everyone's bills here. So, no, I think it signifies the conflict is now seen as a direct strategic threat to the UK itself, not just something happening over there. It's moved beyond foreign policy.
Okay, so pulling it all together, what's really at stake for Britain in all this? What are the core challenges?
I'd say three main things are on the line. First, security. Obvious risks like cyber threats or British shipping becoming a target. That's immediate. Second, diplomacy. How does the UK balance its alliance with Israel, with its commitment to international law, especially when global opinion is shifting? It's a tricky balancing act. And third, public confidence. Support for Israel's actions isn't what it once was domestically. There are protests. A government is under pressure to navigate this carefully and ethically. This whole situation is really testing the UK's place in the world after Brexit.
And could the UK play a role in calming things down? Is there a path to de-escalation?
Potentially, yes. It needs pressure. It needs some creative diplomacy.
Hmm.
The UK does have a respected diplomatic network. It's not seen as quite as aligned with Israel as the US, nor as divided as the EU sometimes is. So maybe they could work with regional players, Jordan, Oman, maybe Qatar, to foster some quiet talks. And interestingly, Iran itself has sent signals it doesn't actually want a full-blown war. Strategic tension seems to be their preference. So there might be a narrow path there.
Before we wrap up, what's one final thought you think our listeners should really chew on after hearing all this?
I think it's that this isn't just about military strategy or alliances for the UK. It's really testing its fundamental identity as a global player. It's forcing questions about what role Britain wants to play in upholding laws and norms, even when it's difficult. This moment, this shift we're seeing, it could really redefine how we think about international leadership and responsibility.
A lot to think about there. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. And thank you, our listeners, for joining this deep dive. We hope you'll join us again next time as we continue to explore these vital global issues. Goodbye for now.